Hey everyone, welcome to the Horror Show. We have a very special episode for you today. We are conducting not only an interview with another amazing YouTube channel, but this interview is special for a number of reasons. The first being, it's a channel that I've actually been a fan of for quite a while. I only found out about this channel through the Horror Addicts Creepy Channel Crawl last year, and I've followed their stuff since. I've been a big fan, and I'm excited to speak with them today. But why is it so special? Well, it's because it's an interdimensional interview, you guys. It's our very first, I don't know, it might be the very first on YouTube, I don't know, but it is pretty exciting for us. Today, we are joined by the lovely people behind Screaming Soup. And this is a unique situation because the dimension that they're broadcasting from just happens to be animated. All right, so let's get into this. I've got to put on my handy dandy interdimensional earbuds so I can hear what the lovely folks over in that dimension are saying. So let me go ahead and introduce the lovely people behind Screaming Soup. First up, how should I refer to you, sir? Is it just Dead West or Mr. West or DW? What would you prefer?
Just call me Dead West, amigo. And this here's my ghostly squeeze, Mandy.
Well, since that's the setup for my sexy skeleton guy, I'll just say I'm happy to be haunting your channel.
Well, hey there, Mandy. Thank you very much for joining in on the interview. I'm glad you were able to take the time along with Dead West. I'm a big fan of both of you guys, so I'm excited to do this with you today. So without further ado, let's get into it. Now, what was the first exposure that you remember having to the horror genre? How did that evolve over time, and how did that inform your current horror tastes?
Ghostbusters was my gateway horror. That flick sparked my interest in the genre and has been sending me down a rabbit hole watching every act of insanity committed to celluloid since.
All right, awesome, good to know. Now, before we continue, I feel like I should address the Billy Goat in the room, so, hey Billy, love you on the show. And now that that's done, to address the elephant in the room. Obviously, you all look a little bit different from me over in your dimension, so I was wondering if you could explain to the audience a little bit about yourselves, what you do over there in that dimension, and what they can hope to find over on your awesome Screaming Soup channel.
Screaming Soup is the world's first fully animated horror show, and ain't like anything you've seen before. Not only do I review obscure B-movies, comics, and cartoons I think folks need to know about, but I do it while on wild Weird West adventures in a limbo dimension called the Crosslands. Along for the ride is my partner Billy, Mandy, and a dysfunctional gang of parody monsters who've been with me through thick and thin, fighting to protect our favorite bar here, the Howling Grubbin' Spirits.
If that sounds like a lot, well, it is. I joke that my bag of bones boyfriend's superpower is bragging, but in this case, he has the stuff to back it up. Our show has seen a big top brawl, meaning that we brawled with a killer clown called Buzzkill, a gunslinging scarecrow, a charming voodoo chicken, you know, the usual. Then there was the season when I happily used the hashtag #OverTheFullMoon until I found out that some people think that means a completely different thing than I thought it did. Anyway, the legendary Charles Band of Full Moon Empire became our lifelong friend when we did a crossover with his monster stars like Ginger Dead Man and Killjoy. It was a cast of characters only a true Scream freak could love, and only a character like my dear Dead West could spotlight in quite the way he did.
Awesome. Now, how did your exposure to horror over the years actually lead you to starting your channel?
I started my channel because this is the horror show I always wanted to watch, but no one was making. More time with the host in the movie, shorter formats, funny adventures every episode. Screaming Soup is essentially the best parts of my favorite horror host program slammed together with a wraparound adventure right out of retro video games, Saturday morning cartoons, and indie superhero comics.
And so, what made you decide to do it in your own unique way? Animated. I mean, do you think your actual visage would freak viewers out too much?
That's just how our video feed filters through to your dimension for some weird reason. See, we're as real as any of y'all, but our broadcast is strained through some bend in time and space or something that translates everything into cartoons. Or so our technician says, I don't know.
And so how do you decide what movies you want to watch or what topics you want to tackle for your program?
Our adventures definitely influence our choices. If I wanted to sound a little more artistic about it, I might say life happens, and that fuels our hunger for the horror that is our comfort food. We hope the everyday absurdities magnified in these films, coupled with our admiration and our sarcasm, bring comfort and happiness to anybody who's willing to listen.
Yep. Almost everything that happens to us reminds me of some B-movie or another, so we try to keep the reviews relevant to what's going on around here.
Incidentally, can you reveal how you even access our movies to watch over in your dimension?
The signal between our dimensions is a two-way street, you see. We pick up a lot of the crap y'all are beaming through your airwaves and streaming services, and y'all tune into most of our stuff through your sleep, which influences a lot of your entertainment over there. What'd you compare it to again? Cool World, that's right. It's kind of like that, minus an animated Kim Basinger banging a guy so hard it blows the universe apart.
I always love that one. Anyway, back to it. Are there any movies out there that you just haven't gotten your hands on that you want to review?
Lately, I'm interested in running down copies of The Oily Maniac and Faust Love of the Damned. These are some nutty-looking movies I just became aware of and would love to watch for future reviews.
Awesome. Well, I tell you what, if any of our audience has any idea how to get access to those two movies, go ahead and post it in the comments down below, and I'll forward the information over to our friends over at Screaming Soup so they can go ahead and watch that for a future review. Now, to that end, speaking of the future, what is your ultimate goal for the channel? I mean, is it just a way to pass the time during the apocalypse?
Our goal from the beginning has always been to take the horror community by storm as a horror host show for the 21st century audience, offering something no one else is. We're swinging for the Ninja Turtles kind of fame, but we'll just be as happy to achieve the same household recognition as Elvira, Joe Bob Briggs, and Mr. Science Theater 3000.
Well, honestly, with your guys' unique style and hilarity, I see absolutely no reason why you shouldn't be able to achieve that level of fame, quite honestly. And absolutely you should, which is why I wanted to spotlight you on this channel. Now, are there any movies coming up of the horror variety in 2019 that you and the lovely Mandy have wanted to take a look at?
I'm going to have to go with the obvious here. I'm loyal to King Stephen. Two that I definitely want to see in the theater this year would be Dr. Sleep and Part 2 of the updated version of It. With all the sequels, prequels, remakes, reboots, and everything that's going on in Hollywood that people love to complain about, I have to think of Stephen King's book On Writing, in which he talks about how there's really nothing new under the sun and almost never has been. A great writer puts classic elements together in a way that make them his own. And King has a way of letting us live in that timeless, eerily familiar world that we want to go back to again and again. And these newer films seem to be inspired by him in a way that just brings us something fresh.
So let me ask this. Do you have any specific thoughts on the recent trend of Hollywood in our dimension going more towards so many reboots and or remakes within the genre?
2 words. Stop it! Remaking movies is a practice that goes as far back as the golden age of cinema, with studios recycling the same stack of scripts over and over again. But we really need to leave good movies alone and put all our creative effort into doing a better job with movies that are 75% suck.
You know, that is a completely fair argument. Now, let me ask this. The apocalypse, I can only assume, is a mighty scary place. What is the most frightening thing that you guys have run up against while across all of your adventures?
Luckily, the apocalypse hasn't happened yet.
Nor anytime soon, as long as we keep Billy here safe. See, he's cursed to be a sacrificial beast for the underworld, which means an ancient gang of pissed off gods would tear through the crosslands if he were ever killed for their unholy ritual. Luckily for us, he had other plans, and we're going to keep him out of their claws for everyone's sake.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, cool. So you have managed to prevent it. So just make sure you keep that awesome Billy Goat safe, and I'm going to be watching the adventures along the way. Now, let me ask you this. Is there any trend in horror that you are not a fan of, or any particular subgenres within our favorite genre that you don't particularly like?
My response to that would have to be torture porn. I think it all started with a little film I'm still hostile toward, and it took a wrong turn through a lot of southern states. In a way, I think this subgenre has been around for a long time, but it definitely got worse after the turn of the century, and hopefully has already peaked. The thing that bothers me about this type of film is that, well, these films like to act like they're more real and intellectual and perhaps deserving of awards because they're so real, but I just kind of want to tell them all to go jump in Crystal Lake and have a little fun.
So do you have like a favorite or a least favorite couple of movies that you've encountered over there in your dimension at this point, whether it's for your channel or just for recreational purposes?
The last flick that rubbed me the wrong way was I Trapped the Devil, which was 5 minutes worth of material criminally stretched to feature length. Only other one that comes to mind for something that just flat out sucks would be Birdemic. That movie's so bad, not even the Riff Tracks commentary saved it from being this unbearable disaster piece that brought me this close to eating a bullet.
Oh, I'm offended, good sir. I mean, not really, but we actually liked I Trapped the Devil. That's kind of surprising, but we wholeheartedly agree on Birdemic. Anyway, next up, I have a bit of a lightning round situation for you guys. I'm going to hit you with a topic. You hit me with your very first brain response, okay? Here we go. Starting off, favorite horror icon.
Freddy Krueger.
Best overall horror movie.
A holiday tradition, The Great Pumpkin and John Carpenter, Halloween.
Best weapon in a horror movie.
Phantasm Balls or the Puppet Master dolls?
Oh man, Fuego's gonna love you, Dead West. His favorite franchises are Phantasm and Puppet Master. Anyway, final round. What is the favorite kill in a horror movie for you?
I'll say this one Clue style, Jason with a sleeping bag against a tree.
Okay. Well, let me ask this. If you could helm any horror movie reboot, remake, or sequel, what would it be and why? What would you do?
I think I have some great ideas for a reboot of The Incredible Melting Man. I think that body horror's got some potential if done in the same vein as Cronenberg's version of The Fly.
All right. I think that's a solid answer. It's an obscure one, but I would absolutely love to see your take on that. That would be awesome. So thank you guys very much for doing this interview. I greatly appreciate you taking the time. How about this? If our viewers want to go ahead and follow you, where can they best do so to see what you and the rest of Screamin' Soup are up to?
Okay, I'm gonna try this used car salesman style. Dead West and all his outrageous antics are available on our website. Come to screamingsoup.com for weekly updates. See more than 4 seasons of epic adventures, gaze upon our art gallery, shop our store, drool over the Howlin' Hottie of the Week, and read bite-sized reviews of everything we're watching, old or new. Screaming Soup is an equal opportunity offender and an admirer of Space Ghost Coast to Coast, Joe Bob Briggs, Daniel Tosh, and Killer Tomato movies.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys again very much for taking the time. Guys, I'm going to drop the links down in the description box down below for you to be able to go and follow Screaming Soup right now. Go and check out all of their awesome work. It is so entertaining, and I'm so glad they were able to take the time to do this. I actually met the lovely people, Dead West, and the lovely Mandy herself while at, I think it was Mad Monster Charlotte. We've been to a lot of cons this year, but I believe it was Mad Monster Charlotte, and I got to see them in person, and the awesome Bag of Bones himself and the lovely ghostly lady. So it was truly fun to meet them, which is where this idea first germinated to do this interview. So I am really glad it came together, and I thank you guys tremendously for taking the time, you guys being Dead West and Mandy, and of course Billy, for taking the time to be on our channel, and awesome work. Thank you very much. Until next time, you guys, if you enjoyed this video, click the like button. Make sure you go subscribe to Screaming Soup and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more awesome interviews in the very near future. Until next time, though, I've been Cecil Laird, and remember, stay scared.